marks the 6th annual Character Community Week in York Region. It is a time when organizations, businesses, governments, schools, communities, and families come together to recognize the importance of living with character. Character Community Week is celebrated with events such as today's Lunch and Learn, held across York Region to raise awareness and educate us about the development and promotion of positive character attributes. It serves to remind us that great communities are created by the people who live, work, and play within them. Character Community Week was initiated by the Character Community Foundation of York Region, whose philosophy is that when people and communities embrace living with character, we can change the world we live in for the better. Every day, our interactions with one another demonstrate our individual character. Each interaction represents a thread that is woven to create the fabric of our community. It is the goal of the Character Community Foundation to shape and enhance all aspects of these interactions. The Character Community Foundation of York Region recognizes 11 character attributes: compassion, courage, fairness, honesty, inclusiveness, initiative, integrity, optimism, perseverance, respect, and responsibility. This month, the character attribute, inclusiveness, is highlighted, which is defined as working to build a community where everyone feels included, empowered, and valued for his or her unique contributions. It is now my distinct honor to introduce our guest speakers today, Jan Robertson and Jeff Robertson, whose actions embody the character attributes I just mentioned. Jan is the 2012 recipient of the York Region Citizen of Character Adult Award. As a double liver transplant recipient, Jan understands the needs of those suffering from a serious disease. She mentors patients who are waiting for transplantation and those who have received a transplant, and encourages them to become self-advocates. Jan demonstrates compassion for everyone around her on a daily basis, often speaking to friends and strangers who need encouragement. Jan was a founding member of the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation of Canada and is a strong supporter of organ and tissue donation. She has appeared on Rogers Daytime TV and has visited many high schools and churches promoting the need for donations. Jan is also a founding member of the Maximizers to raise funds for the South Lake Regional Health Center Cancer Center. Jeff. Jeff is the Executive Director of the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation of Canada, whose mission is to promote programs of research, advocacy, education, support, and awareness in order to discover treatments and a cure for polycystic kidney disease. Having been raised in a family afflicted with polycystic kidney disease, Jeff learned at a young age the importance of self-advocacy, volunteerism, and community involvement, traits that help guide him in his work today. Jeff considers each day he works with the Polycystic Foundation a gift, and he feels privileged to have been given the opportunity to align himself with such a strong group of individuals. The Foundation has seen an increase in national exposure over the past few years, and Jeff looks forward to assisting the Foundation in achieving even greater success in polycystic kidney disease awareness, support, and fundraising initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, our guests, Jan and Jeff.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Karen Addison, the Executive Director of the Character Community Foundation of York Region, for inviting us to speak to you today at your special luncheon. A time to believe. To believe is to know that every day is a new beginning. It is to trust that miracles happen and dreams really do come true. To believe is to see angels dancing amongst the clouds, to know the wonder of a stardust sky and the wisdom of the man in the moon. To believe is to embrace the value of a nurturing heart, the innocence of a child's eyes, and the beauty of an aging hand, for it is through their teachings we learn how to love. To believe is to find the strength and courage that lives within us when it is time to pick up the pieces and begin again. To believe is to know that we are never alone, that life is a gift, and this is our time to cherish it. To believe is to know that wonderful surprises are just waiting to happen, and all our hopes and dreams are within reach, if only we believe. These are the first words that I speak every morning. They give me the strength to get through the day, and they help me keep positive. And being positive has probably saved my life. Being positive means I have a very strong faith. It means I have the greatest love and support of family and the most amazing friends, some of which are here today. Being positive gives me a fight inside me not to give up, even when the odds are against me. It gives me a desire to help all PKD and transplant patients and let them know that it'll be okay. Because when I was diagnosed 32 years ago, and when I had my first transplant 14 and a half years ago, I had no one to help me through either life-changing time in my life. Being positive means I will live every day, the rest of my life, being the best person I possibly can, and I will take the best care I possibly can of the precious gifts that I have received. I will honor my donor, and I will honor my donor families. They are the first people I think of in the morning, and the last people I thank God for every night. And here is my story. I am very blessed to be a double liver transplant recipient, and one day could very well add kidney transplant to my list of miracles. Organ donation is a subject very near and dear to my heart, my family's hearts, and my friends' hearts. And here is why. 32 years ago, I went to a doctor, having had my first child just a few short months before, about a problem related to the pregnancy. I went in to have a simple procedure done, never dreaming that my life would take on a whole new direction that day and lead me here to you this afternoon. The doctor discovered that my liver was slightly enlarged when he examined me, and that is why he sent me for further tests. The test revealed that I had severe fluid-filled cysts on both the liver and kidneys. I had no idea what was happening inside me. I was so scared because I had a brand new baby girl and had no idea if I would ever get to see her grow up. But the good news is that my baby girl is now 33 years old, and she's here with me today. My husband had just been transferred to Sudbury as this was all happening, just to add to the mix. The doctor asked me to come back in 2 months, and he would take a look laparoscopically and see if he could determine or diagnose what the cysts were. He came to the conclusion it was a kidney disease called polycystic kidney disease, or PKD, one of the most life-threatening genetic diseases affecting more people than Down syndrome, cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, and sickle cell anemia, all combined. There is no treatment, and there is no cure. Jeff, my second baby, will be explaining much more about PKD shortly. Other organs can also be affected, and this is what was happening with my liver. I continued coming back to Richmond Hill and being monitored by Dr. Arnie Rye as long as I could. He was wonderful to me, but finally after 2 years, told me he could no longer justify having me as a patient, as he was a surgeon, and surgery could not fix my problem. Over the next several years, I saw liver specialists in Richmond Hill and at Sunnybrook. I saw them every 6 months, only to be told there was nothing that could be done, eat or drink whatever I wanted, I was getting worse, and oh yeah, good luck. In 1983, we moved back to Newmarket, and one evening in 1994, I received a call from a gentleman in Oakville who also had PKD and had gotten my name and wondered if I'd be interested in helping him start a support group. At last, I could talk to other patients just like me, and I was thrilled, so I said, we're in. At that meeting, there were 4 couples in total, and that was the beginning of the Polycystic Kidney Research Society. It was during those years of getting together with these couples, I heard about a Dr. Janet Roscoe who specialized in PKD. My first appointment with Dr. Roscoe was on August 30th, 1995. and she spent 2 glorious hours with my husband and I, and gave us our first hope that there would be a future for us and for our family. She could not believe the condition that I was in, looking 10 months pregnant. This led to some very interesting situations and experiences. One day, my very dear friend Judy, who is here today, was in severe respiratory distress and called me to take her to the hospital. We went flying over there, literally, Judy says, and when we arrived, they came running out and took us both in. So Judy got excellent care and immediate care that day, and I just sat there looking ready to deliver at any minute. So it did have its advantages in a crisis. Another very funny story was a lady from our church in Newmarket had a long conversation one day with my daughter Megan. She was saying how strong I was and amazed at how I was handling everything. Meg assumed she was talking about how I was dealing with my illness, only to discover later in the conversation she thought I was a surrogate mother. No wonder she was so impressed if she thought that that's what I was doing all those years. At my second appointment with Dr. Roscoe, she referred me to the transplant program at Toronto General. These wonderful doctors and nurses became my lifesavers, along with Dr. Roscoe. By October 1995, I was seeing Dr. Gary Levy, who booked my extensive pre-transplant tests, and by November, I was on the list. Over the next 2.5 years, I waited, starting the list at number 70 and working my way down to number 1 on April 25th, 1998. That was the first time my life was saved by organ donation. All good things do come to those who wait. It was an amazing experience, and I knew I had been blessed with a miracle. The transplant doctors and my transplant coordinator are like no others, and Jeff calls them our living angels. I think of them as family. It is a special team full of love and compassion, and their job is to save lives. And who wouldn't love that job? I did very well for 9 years and 7 months and was planning a big party for my 10th anniversary. Very suddenly, I got very ill. At first, the doctors thought it was food poisoning, but as weeks passed, I knew something was terribly wrong. One evening, I had an extreme fever and ended up back in the hospital, and that was the beginning of the end. At first, they thought they could put a stent in a bile duct, but when the procedure could not be completed, we were told the shocking news that I needed a second liver transplant. This time was not on our side. I was quickly becoming critical. By Easter weekend of 2008, I was placed in ICU, and my family was with me 24/7 for 2 weeks. My liver had failed. My kidneys were failing, my blood pressure skyrocketed, my heart was in distress, my body was shutting down. On March 30th, 2008, I received the miraculous news that another donor had been found to give me my second gift of life. I now had 2 donor angels in heaven, and prayers had been answered from all over the world. One of my favorite ICU nurses, Jeff, came running and gave me a huge hug at my first post-transplant clinic appointment and said, "Girl, you were knocking at the door," to which I quickly replied, "Thank God no one answered." It is still amazing to me that all that happened in 4 short months. As I told my children growing up, we must be so thankful for what we have and not worry about what we don't have. I have learned that life is good, life is precious, but life can be short. Every day is a gift to be treasured. Let those close to you know how much you love them and help others in any way you can. In my case, I have been given 2 second chances, and God willing, will get my new kidney when that time comes. My kidneys are functioning at about 30% now, and when they get down to 20%, then we can start looking for my living donor this time. Because of receiving the best possible news that I had prayed for over 30 years, we found out on September 28th 2010 that neither Meg nor Jeff carried the PKD2 gene, of which they both had a 50-50 chance of inheriting. Now they can both be tested as possible donors, which is why they both went through the genetic testing. I do have the best family ever. So my transplant journey isn't over yet, but I know we can do it. And by we, I mean my family and friends who are always there for me, to help me, love me, support me, and give me reason to live. They even started the Jan Robertson Butterfly Club, which is part of the PKD FOC, so we can monitor our contributions to help find that cure. I have had the privilege of being a mentor to both PKD and transplant patients, and have met some wonderful patients and families, of whom have become lifelong friends. And if not for what I've been through, these amazing people would have not come into my life. And I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences. So now you can understand why organ donation is so very important to our family. It is a subject, though, that still needs so much awareness. So that is why we are so thrilled to be here today to share with you. Because of two loving, generous, kind people and their families who did make this decision, I have been able to celebrate 38 years of marriage to my wonderful husband, who has stood by me every day of this journey. I have gotten to be a part of my children's lives, watch them grow up, and become the wonderful young adults they are today, both choosing careers to help other people as well. I did write to both my donor families, but unfortunately did not hear back. I had always dreamt of an Oprah moment, and that we would be connected forever. But I know from what I told them that they know how much I love them, and that what they did for me was the most selfless, what they gave me was the most selfless, gracious gift anyone could ever give another. Having heard several donor families speak, their message is always the same. They are so thankful that they did donate their loved one's organs to save others' lives, that their loved one does live on, and that gives them comfort and peace. In closing, I want to read another favorite poem by Robert N. Test, who, in my opinion, expresses perfectly what organ donation means. It is entitled, "To Remember Me." The day will come when my body will lie upon a white sheet, neatly tucked under four corners of a mattress, located in a busy hospital, busily occupied with the living and the dying. At a certain moment, a doctor will determine that my brain has ceased to function, and that for all intents and purposes, my life has stopped. When that happens, do not attempt to instill artificial life into my body by the use of a machine. And don't call this my deathbed. Let it be called the bed of life. And let my body be taken from it to help others lead fuller lives. Give my sight to the man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or love in the eyes of a woman. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Give my blood to the teenager who was pulled from the wreckage of his car so that he might live to see his grandchildren play. Give my kidneys to the one who depends on a machine to exist from day to day. Give my bones, every muscle, every fiber and nerve in my body, and find a way to make a crippled child walk. Explore every corner of my brain, take my cells if necessary, and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout at the crack of a bat, and a deaf girl will hear the sound of rain against her window. Burn what is left of me and scatter the ashes to the winds to help the flowers grow. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, and all prejudice against my fellow man. Give my sins to the devil, give my soul to God. If by chance you wish to remember me, do so with a kind word or deed to someone who needs you. If you have done all that I have asked, I will live forever. Thank you.